Ladies and gentlemen, we gotta talk. Cause quite a lot recently have I been seeing this. Oh, Bitcoin might never hit 69,000 again. Or XRP can't hit that or that price. Nah. Please take a look at this. This is a post from 2011 in the Bitcoin community that says this. This is why I have liquidated my position in Bitcoin. There's very little upside going forward. No forward moves of late have any traction whatsoever, and demand continues to lag. Way too little upside for such a risky proposition. So my advice is to move into dollars. Only a significant change in the economy could alter this forecast. To which I'll state, oh boy, were they wrong. Right, actually. I mean, they were wrong about this very little upside part, but they were very right about the idea that a significant change in the economy could heavily alter his forecast because he thought Bitcoin would never get to $20 again. Well, I guess he's right because, yeah, there's no going down anymore. And theoretically speaking, at some point in the far future, we might never see a new all-time high. But I'd say that that's when the purpose is completed. Take a look at this video for a second.
I'm excited about Bitcoin too, but I think this idea that we have a global currency that is outside of the control of any government is a super logical and important step on the tech tree.
That was Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, ChatGPT, all that stuff. And really, as you start thinking, the value proposition for these cryptocurrencies that we know and love, our Bitcoin, our XRP, or Ethereum, it really does become quite clear quite quickly. And then the idea that people bought into these, this is for anybody that's given up, for example, bought into these with the idea that is going to change the future of finance or of platforms or whatever. Has it realistically speaking changed from when you bought in? No, it's just that the demand now is a lot lower. Just like in this example. The traction is going slowly. The demand is looking to go down and down. It's very risky, and only a significant change in the economy could alter this. Well, I mean, right now as it stands, we are still looking at the big shift because it's not even happened just quite yet. I mean, Bitcoin has gone from, I guess, less than $20. Without spending too much time on this, the point here is if you give up now, you'll most likely be like this guy. Because then it was $20 being the max. Right now it's 69,000 for Bitcoin at least being the max, or for XRP being that $3 point. But in a couple years, we'll look back at this and laugh. Because again, right now, the US economy, for example, or the now financial system, has not hit the major crash point that we're all anticipating just quite yet. And I think that's going to be that actual flash, that surge, where cryptos are going to go to such a level that we can never come back down anymore. I mean, right now, Bitcoin can still go down a significant bunch, towards $15,000 and still be taken off of the television and things like that, out of the media ever so slightly. But the moment the floodgates are opened by these ETFs being everywhere, all right, by the collapse of traditional currencies. I mean, right now, a lot of countries like China, Malaysia, whatever, they're taking their money, and Saudi even too, I believe, are taking the money out of this US denominated system. US dollar, I mean, with that. That paradigm is changing though. And at some point, like we've seen in Venezuela, like we've seen over time many times, but at some point I believe a lot of currencies are going to fail at the same time. The government hasn't got any good way to back it up anymore. People lose their trust in the bank system, and at that point, yeah, we're all screwed. But one thing people have in common, and that is that they're going to be going for crypto pretty hard, I believe. And so people tell me this all the time. Does that mean XRP is going to go to $1,000? Does that mean Bitcoin is going to this? And I'm telling you right now, it is nearly impossible for anybody to give an accurate number on where these things will go because we have not seen a collapse of the sort in 100 years. So almost nobody alive. I'm going to assume nobody, perhaps one person watching this video is over the age of 100. But more importantly, they had to be at the proper investing age and wealth to even acknowledge all this. But it changed in 1920. So they had to be born 1900, if not a little bit before 1900. Yeah, nobody watching this video has been born since then. So nobody watching this has known a system that was different than the one we're seeing now. Yet that can be said about every century. I've repeated this many times because I want you guys to really clearly understand this, that it changes every century or so. and our time is near. Yet, like those $1,000 marks and things of this sort, even though right now they're pretty ridiculous, right? Because they're based upon the principle of investing we've known for a while, and it just doesn't really fit in. It most likely is not that crazy of an assertion to make, from the perspective that right now we think about all these terms in US dollars. But if we really think about it in terms of purchasing power or the actual value of this asset class now, for example, cryptocurrencies is a concept, right? Right now we're thinking of them as, okay, it's worth about $1 trillion. But what really inherently does that mean, right? The US dollar is the world reserve currency. And if you had to take this crypto asset class and give it a value, it'll be $1 trillion, let's call it. But what that really means is very hard for anybody to say. The actual valuation of things is a very inaccurate measure, because what are you really measuring? How much money is locked up? Not really, because if everybody wanted to take their money out, there's nothing really, right? Start thinking about it. If everybody wanted to sell, then it would be worth zero, because there will be nobody to buy, right? Because everybody wants to sell. So then how much money is locked up in there? Well, if you, theoretically speaking, have ways to never take it back out, is there then really any value to it? Maybe a lot of you guys are not ready for that yet, though, of the idea that the value of something is pretty hard to explain if we're just using nominal terms, because the value in money really kind of means nothing, because in essence money means nothing. Before we had a bartering system, right? You do something for him, he does something for you. Yet then afterwards you had like these precious metals which you could touch and it's worth something. Afterwards we went over to, you know, these notes, these government-backed notes, and now it's like fully digital, and it's like ownership proven because a central authority says it with their ledger. And now it's starting to go towards a decentralized manner of, you know, we can all verify that that person is speaking the truth. They've got this amount of money. They cannot spend it twice. Hence, cryptocurrencies came forth, right? But again, if you start thinking about what I just described to you, everything in this little history part had a certain value. I mean, a little trade of services, for example, had the value where if I only pick up a coin for you, pick up a rock for you, you wouldn't like reshape my entire house, for example. You know, it had a certain value, which people then try to put into coins, which then they try to put into these little banknotes, which then again, eventually now has to be put into cryptocurrency terms. Yet people like to stick to this earlier part, even though right now when you're thinking of, hey, I've got this many dollars, you don't think about it back in terms of how many gold coins you could buy with it. Usually you mostly take these things to the front, where you think about how many gold coins you could buy with dollars, or you think about how many services you could buy with dollars. Mostly not reversed back, even though in this case you kind of can. With cryptocurrency, kind of the same thing would apply, where it's not about realistically how many dollars gets you the crypto, but how much crypto gets you for these dollars or for these notes. But the notes are kind of worthless if people lose trust in these governments. And so same thing with these golden coins or bronze coins or copper coins. They're almost worthless if they've not got the denomination that, hey, I shouldn't say gold, I should just say copper coins. Copper coins could be worth a lot, right? Because you could put a number on there, and if it's backed by the government, it's worth a ton. But if it's just the value of the copper, it might not be worth as much. Oh, I'm going on too much of a tangent to put into your heads that whenever people shout these ideas of, oh, it's going to be worth that much or that much, they still think about the old system of valuing things. Because inherently, we're changing the entire way the value system works from the perspective that you also can't really fathom what it means for the derivatives market to be X amount of quadrillion dollars worth, for example. What does that really mean? The idea that a country can be increasing its debt, the US, by how much? $1.6 billion an hour or something like that? It's almost impossible for people to fathom what this really means. I mean, the whole concept of a country going in debt is very, very hard to grasp when you think about the idea that the only reason they can is because other countries are trusting them to pay it back. But the whole system then is based on trust, yet it's not really verifiable trust. It's not the blockchain or anything like that, because any one party can eventually be like, I don't like it anymore, or do something crazy basically. And oh, this system is just so stupid. Yet it's like grandfathered in as the system we've had for so long, for 100 years, right, where it just all works. But really, once you start diving deep and breaking it down, bank system kind of trash, government-backed notes kind of stupid, agencies like the SEC kind of wacky. I did not want to make this video so negative. No, actually my point was very positive, that we're on the verge of a massive change. We're all at the epicenter of it. And I want you guys to realize that if somebody is shouting out a really ridiculous price prediction, Well, it kind of depends on what they're basing it on, what the value of that prediction would have. If they're basing it on the idea that the entire system is going to collapse, this, that, and XRP, for example, is going to be the main thing remaining, well, then their whole idea is a lot more logical than if they just said it's going to 10,000x because of partnerships. It's going to happen in the next year or so. But at the same time, they're going to take that XRP and put it into dollars to buy a car with it, for example. I mean, that defeats the entire purpose, sort of. And I know a lot of you guys want to get rich in dollars still. I get this very often. I look at my comment section and people say, you know, I'm in crypto to make money. And I always ask you, so you think crypto will make you money, but isn't crypto the money you're supposed to make? Because if you're saying no, you're doing it for fiat terms, then what is the actual value proposition within crypto? Oh, it's just a Ponzi scheme. Well, if you're really thinking that, then it's a really risky game you're playing. Most people say, no, crypto really could change the world. And it's there for a specific purpose to, for example, combat inflation, this, that. But if that's what you're thinking, then why would you actually, right? I am still doing it, but I'm just asking you, why would you then sell it? What for? Towards gold, towards property? Sure, but why would you ever sell it for fiat currencies when it's literally the fix for it? Because in theory, with fiat currencies, you're always getting poorer every single day. You know, and like 𝗕𝗁𝗀𝗍 said, cryptocurrencies are not meant to be a get-rich-quick type of scheme. They're meant to be a stop-getting-poor type of scheme. Yet people sometimes think about it in a completely different manner of just gains, to buy this, buy that. But they forget the core principle. And it sometimes bothers me. And other times I say, well, does it really matter? People have all different motives, and it's going to happen like that or be like that all the time, forever. And I can't say it's a bad thing that people are only into crypto for gains. I don't think that's bad at all. I really don't think it's bad. But what I am saying is it's a way riskier theory. It's a way riskier proposition to only be here because you think it's going to make money, because that means that you are also expecting this area will inevitably fail, but that you are able to find a greater fool quickly enough to make crazy amounts of money on before it inevitably does fail, instead of you being in an asset class you believe in for a longer period of time where you're pretty early in it because the masses have not yet caught on, which inevitably will keep getting bigger while the traditional system gets, I guess, smaller or collapses at some point, which is going to be the major catalyst for this entire industry, which is basically going to put you on top of the top. And again, do we call that rich? Do we call that you being a main or big holder? What do we exactly call that? Wealthy, I guess, from that point on forward. That's, again, some new terminology we're going to see at some point. And perhaps people are going to look at this video and think, Dusty, you're a freaking idiot for saying all this stupid stuff. I don't agree with you at all. But hey, that's fine. I've shared my thoughts on the matter. I see value in a completely different way than a lot of people do. And as I said before, I can understand many different investment theses and investment philosophies. So don't think I'm just saying one is right or one is wrong. I'm saying sit down and really think about what you're going for something for. If you're in it just for quick gains, even though you don't believe in it, completely fine. But then make sure you've got a very definite plan at the start, because you're basically skydiving without a parachute, or at least you got a parachute, but you're not willing to pull it just quite yet. And at some point, you might hit the ground. Following your own theory, that is. But for most people out there that watch my videos, I think a lot of you guys believe in this sector. And for all of you, I've got to say, if you've ever thought of gains, right, and you think, oh, my investment is going to do this well, I'd say reconsider. Because I personally like to say here that it's nearly impossible for people to understand just how big this could get, from the perspective that people still try to justify it with dollar terms, etc. But if this really becomes the asset class a lot of us hope it's going to be, you almost can't justify that with words just quite yet. Just how huge this could be. Just for fun, break it down for yourself for a little second. The idea that the value of this asset class is not going to be bound by any one government anymore, not with trust between these governments anymore, not by GDP per se, not by dollars. The term has been used for 100 years to denominate everything, but it's going to be gone. So the whole idea of value would change so much. Just like when it changed from just bartering systems to coins and precious metal coins to these government denominated little banknotes. It's going to be that type of paradigm shift again, where you just can't comprehend the future from the position that you're in until in hindsight. It's similarly like now that I believe we're in a bull market already. People say, no, it's still a bear market. Look at the price. And I say, well, you're going to probably see that the bull market actually started 6 months ago or a year ago, but you probably won't really believe that until we're at the top again. That's kind of a similar part of it. But yeah, that's about it. See ya.